Okay, so here goes another NBA slate. The last bet I put out there yesterday, I put out a little quick post for the Warriors to nuke that play to take the Warriors -4.5 against Orlando Magic. And the first half was a little shaky, but the Warriors came through and cashed, and that was a good play. That was awesome. I knew the Warriors were going to take it. It was a solid, guaranteed type of hit. I never say guaranteed, but it was definitely one of them plays where it was a locked in situation. Curry just lit up the scoreboard like crazy. And they just came through. They came through and killed the second half, and that's what happened. I sent out a nuke alert, and to nuke that shit, to put as much money as possible as you wanted to put down, and to take advantage of a good spot and situation. And that's what that one and only play I sent out was. Every other game I wasn't really feeling. But we're gonna still talk about today's slate. So right now, let's get into it. We got Denver versus Detroit. Obviously, Denver just played last night. And they're basically on back to back. Detroit, on the other hand, they didn't. And Detroit, if you follow sports at all, Detroit's on a heater. They are doing very well. They're on an 8-game win streak, and the last win was against the Celtics, which I also had previously during that game. I took them to cover, and they did because they won the whole game. And I would have said to take the plus money on the money line to take Detroit, but I like trying to play safe, and I'd rather double my money potentially than risk losing it all. And yeah, they played well and obviously good enough to beat the Celtics, but it was a more solid bet just taking the points and just letting it ride, and it worked out lovely. But today we got Detroit against Denver. Now with Detroit, they haven't played anybody too tough as far as strength of schedule. So right now they went against the Celtics. They did well there, which is a tough team to beat. But now you got Denver, one of the top teams in the Western Conference, and they got their hands full with this game. Put it this way: if Nikola Jokic doesn't play, because I think he's on GTD, um, I would take Detroit. um, but I think today's a spot where Detroit falls flat. Um, I've been heavy on Detroit every single game that Detroit's played. I've put money on and taken Detroit. They've covered in almost every game. Eight of the last 10 games they've covered in. Um, so that's a plus. But we got Denver that when they can, they will lock in, and they can absolutely annihilate Detroit. They've already played them once this season. This was before Detroit was the Detroit we see now, though. This was earlier in the season. As far as the total, I don't really do totals. I really don't like doing totals. I'm just going to throw it out there as a lean. I would lean on the over on this one. Just a lean, but that's it. That's all I'm saying on that. Um, but I'm going I'll probably regret it, but I'm going with Denver on this one. Now we got this game, top two teams in the Eastern Conference. Um, I'm going to make this quick. Boston's the best team in the NBA. Okay, hands down. That's how I feel. Cleveland is having an amazing season. Um, where I stand though is when Boston loses a game, they usually come out on fire the next game, and they're back at home, and they do way better at home than on the road. So real quick, short, sweet. I'm on Boston. The line's been moving. It says -1 here. I think you get it -2. I think it could be as much as -3. The game's about to start in about 30 minutes ish, about 5:40 or 7:40 Eastern. I'm in the Western, the Pacific time, so it starts at 5:40 ish on my end. So yeah, we're just gonna get right through this, and we're gonna take um, Boston. Now this game is a lean, but if Brooklyn can play even 90% the way they played against OKC the other day, they can definitely keep this game competitive and beat a Portland Trailblazers. Even though Portland's good, they're a scrappy team. They play ball. I mean, but you got this Brooklyn team that, like I said before, they're so wishy washy. I took OKC, thinking that they would cover the spread, and here comes Brooklyn coming out of nowhere covering late in the game. Like, and they did good in the first half. Let me rephrase that. They actually kept it pretty competitive the whole game, and then OKC comes in and just starts dominating and was down, and then ends up winning only by like 6 points or something like that, 7 points. Point is, Brooklyn covered that game, so that's where I'm at with this. Brooklyn, if Brooklyn can play the way they played against OKC, then Portland is not the way to go. So I'm leaning on Brooklyn. This is not a game I have money on, but leaning on Brooklyn. Now with OKC and Atlanta, Atlanta, it's so hard with these guys, but they can play defense one way and then not play defense. Their offense can be amazing, putting up 130, 140 points, and then, not even break 110 points. OKC's been on a rough patch. They haven't covered in like the past 3-4 games, something like that. So, another high double-digit point spread. Atlanta's scrappy enough to keep it competitive. I'm not saying Atlanta's going to win, but I think they can keep it within 11. I'm going to take Atlanta. Now we got New York and Memphis. I had New York against the Philly game. I posted it, and I was on New York, and I couldn't believe the performance that New York put out, letting Philly come back like that. It was unbelievable. And then poor Paul George decides to lock in and start playing. That shit was it pissed me off, to be honest. I don't get emotional usually, but just watching that game, it was just one of them games that just got under your skin. But point is, today I'm on Memphis. New York's a good team and all, but Memphis at home, you can see it right here. They're 22-6 against the spread. Their record's 35-22-1 and 18-10 at home. Basically, with Memphis, it's like if they're gonna win the game, if you think they're gonna win the game, they're gonna cover as well. They didn't cover in their last game up against Phoenix, and they basically, I think they can do it here. New York, after the performance New York did against Philly, I'm just kind of just done with New York for now. I'm gonna take Memphis at home, and that's where we sit on that one. So I'm gonna put out another video for the later game slates, the rest of the games. So be on the lookout for that. Tail them, comment, do whatever you got to do. I don't get much traction anyway, but it'd be nice to start picking up some traction. So look out for the next videos coming out right now.